Hi, thanks for joining me again. Last week I found some time to do a review of the ASX and some of the sectors' weekly charts, and although it hasn't had very many views, I found it was a really good opportunity to show a whole series of different principles and examples on the charts. So I thought I'd do a similar thing again, but this time I'd do it with the futures charts and look at last week's weekly futures charts that I put up on the weekend and give them a quick review and point out any principles that are taking place at the moment. So the first one is the US dollar index, and you can see that this 94 level is a really important level on the chart. This level, if broken to the upside, would be a clear breakout, a major breakout on the chart. At the moment, after 3 days trading, the weekly bar looks a bit like this. It's sitting just below that 94 level. It's a little bit higher than last week's close, but there's still 2 days trading to go. So we'll see. Now, I'm going to race through these pretty quickly so as not to make the video too long. US dollar index futures closed modestly lower last week. Spread and volume were about average. The market stalled at the major long-term breakout line at 94. That's exactly right. This is a really serious level. This is not surprising. It is a very important level on the chart. Price should find increased support within the congestion zone just below, and that's if required. So in here, where there's been previous congestion, you'll generally find if price is forced lower down like this, then there'll be increased support adjacent to this zone. Now, if price was to break below this level where I put this arrow and then prove that it's unable to recover, then you'd probably see this level tested for strength. You'd probably see price do this. But at the moment, there is support at this level where I've got this arrow, and if price finds sufficient support at this level, it is possible that price could rebound off that after testing it for strength and push higher. So we'll just see how the market moves. I kind of feel like it might fail at this level. It's a really important level, but we'll just see. You have to give it the benefit of the doubt, and it's made a pretty strong move up. It took 3 days of absorption here, and then it's dipped lower. We'll see if it's just trying to get a run up to break through this level here at 94, or whether weakness is going to come in. It's right on the razor's edge at the moment. The S&P 500 closed higher last week on below average volume, so it floated up pretty much on a lack of selling pressure. The low volume combined with reasonable spread suggests that selling pressure was quite low this week. I anticipate only modest resistance adjacent to the previous highs. That's because the previous highs are made up of fluff. There wasn't much in it. Look at this bar. It's below average volume, narrow spread. There was no real serious selling pressure in there. Not very many people would have got trapped at that level. There's not likely to be a great deal of supply stuck there, so resistance is likely to be lower. Now, you probably find a bit more resistance here, and price has pretty much taken that out at the moment. So the current bar looks a bit like this. So it's just sitting just below this important level here. We'll see whether price can take that out or not. It may be that price comes and retests this level for strength and then has a try at breaking out. We'll just have to see. Next one is the US Treasury 10-year note futures, which closed lower last week and importantly closed below these previous lows here. Whenever there's a decent penetration below previous lows, even if there's a recovery, and price this week so far looks like this, even if there's a recovery, the fact that the market was allowed to penetrate this far below the previous lows suggests a softness in the market, a weakness in the market. The market wasn't able to defend that level, this level here, very quickly and easily. It took a little while for the support to be mustered up and to defend those lows. That leaves the market vulnerable to a breakdown. Now this is the important level. If price was to get back above this level, that would be much more significant. But at the moment, price looks like that. 2 more days to trade this week. We'll see if it can recover. I wrote, the close off the weekly lows on increased volume suggests some moderate, perhaps just speculative buying support. And that's probably right. The close off the lows here may have just been some speculative buying support, and in response prices moved higher. We'll see if it can hold those highs above that previous low or not over the coming days. Copper. Copper has come back a little further. It's looking like this at the moment. I wrote, copper price futures made a pretty serious attempt to break out above this sideways trading range last week. That's this week. This week, price came back somewhat and is effectively testing the strength of the breakout. The market closed comfortably within the previous bar's range on pretty good volume, so it appears that the market is making a decent attempt to consolidate and absorb the supply being drawn out. This is the breakout level here. There will be some resistance here that will need to be absorbed, and that's probably what's caused price to come back like this so far. There is likely to be pretty good support within this zone all the way down to here. A clear break and close below that level would be a significant break. At the moment, spreads narrowed, volume's been light so far in this market, so it may just be testing for supply and perhaps close back at this level by Friday. We'll see. Gold. I wrote, gold price futures closed higher this week, helped partly by the softer US dollar. There has been a determined effort in this market for some time to hold on at 1750 in the face of the strengthening US dollar. That's right. The US dollar had been rising, yet the gold market only came down this far. There was a determined effort to hold on through here and absorb the strength in the US dollar. Remember, this market's priced in US dollars. This suggests that underlying strength remains present in this market. And at the moment, price looks kind of like this. So it's an absorption bar of some sort, more than likely. We'll see. It's only midweek, 2 more days to trade. Volume's been pretty low in the market. There's been no decisive or committed attempt to move the market higher. We'll see what happens over the next 2 days. Very similar in the silver market. Silver price futures closed higher this week, most likely helped somewhat by the softer US dollar. Spread and volume both increased and the close was firm. When I say the close was firm, I mean the close was right up near the highs of the weekly range. This suggests an element of strength and intent in this week's trading. Well, so far the market's done this over 3 days. It's a narrow spread bar. Volume's been light. It hasn't penetrated below this level. So in effect, so far, the market is coming back and testing this level for strength. It may use that for a springboard, we'll see. If price comes back further or deeper, there will be some increased support adjacent to this congestion. So we'll just see what happens there. At the moment, price has come back, it's testing this level for strength. We'll just see what happens over the next 2 days. Like crude, the crude market attempted to go higher earlier in the week, and it's lost a little bit of ground over the last 2 days. It looks something like that so far. I wrote light crude price futures closed higher again this week. Spread increased a little on slightly reduced volume. Some time was spent testing for supply. When I say that on a weekly chart, the portion of the bar that's below the previous close, if you were on a smaller time frame like a daily, you would see price coming back and testing for support, finding generally that the supply that's drawn out has been absorbed, or that selling pressure is very low, and that's what's allowed the market to push up and close higher in the end. So when you see testing for supply on the weekly time frame, you'll see that as trading below the previous bar's close. You can see it on this bar here, a little bit of trading below the previous bar's close. That would have been some testing for supply. Generally, you'd find that the market was really bullish and it's bounced off that. Same here. You see it happens quite a lot. The market opens, it comes back, tests for supply, generally earlier in the week, finds that selling pressure is low or that the market's strong. It quickly absorbs any selling pressure that's drawn out and it pushes up in response. The eventual higher close on still above average volume shows that the market was happy to absorb any supply being drawn out, which is sort of what I just said. You can see the market came back, volume was fairly high, well above average still. It's absorbed any supply that's drawn out and in response it's pushed up higher. The lower volume might suggest that selling pressure wasn't that strong as price pulled back, and that the increased volume came after price accelerated higher. You'd have to check the daily chart to find that out for sure. But either way, price came back, support came in, and in response, price pushed higher. Aussie dollar currency futures. The Aussie dollar futures closed higher this week, partly in response to the weakness in the US dollar. There also appears to be some positive momentum and strength building in this market. That's right, there is. The 74.8 cents and the 76 levels are the important levels to watch above, arrowed. Yes, this level here is an important level for sure. This is where price spent a long time trading sideways and then broke down. To push back above this level is going to take a decent effort for sure. So far this week, price looks like this. So we'll see if it can build on that. This level is a more minor level. It's previous highs here. And so far, price has moved above those highs on modest volume for 3 days trading. But the market overall does look stronger than it has been for quite some time. For a long time, price just traded the inverse to the US dollar, pretty much doing the opposite to what the US dollar did. Remember, it's a currency pair, so it's the Aussie dollar versus the US dollar. But at times, when the Aussie dollar finds its own strength, even when there's some increased strength in the US dollar, price will either stay the same or grind its way higher. And the Aussie dollar has found a little bit of strength, and because of that, price isn't trading the exact inverse to the US dollar any longer, at least not at this point in time. We'll see if it can continue, but there is a little building strength in the market. And Bitcoin futures, and I wrote, unsurprisingly, the Bitcoin futures market has encountered some supply adjacent to the previous highs. It was always going to encounter some difficulties up here, for sure. But from this whole previous highs, people would have been buying in here. Remember, the market had come up a lot. People would have been buying in here and then getting themselves stuck in the market. And the human nature is not to take a loss. So a lot of people would have been holding, saying to themselves, if and when price comes back to this level, I'm going to get out for break even. So price has finally come back to this level. It's taken a while, and there'll be some people, it doesn't matter that price is looking strong, they've been waiting to get out for break even, and they're going to sell into this and recover that lost money that's been underwater for so long. If they were buying at 60,000 and price was down at 30,000, they'd lost half their money for a period of time. There was some of them that are itching to get out, regardless of whether the market's strong or not. Note the amount of effort required to negotiate a path through the previous level. That's this level here. Price spent some time in accumulation here. It gapped out. It pushed up to where price gapped down previously. This was always going to be an important level here. Price spent a little bit of time in absorption mode. This is like bullish absorption. Then it pulled back and effectively shook out any nervous Nellies in the market, and then in response price pushed back out. It was a pretty good move, and something like that is likely to take place again at this level. At the moment price has come back modestly like this, which is understandable. I wrote, only a modest pullback to consolidate would generally be expected at this point. And that's because I'm not considering this a serious upthrust, even though that's what it looks like. I'm thinking that this is weakness that has come in from the previous highs as the market is trying to absorb the supply and break out. We'll see what happens. Before the market makes a secondary attempt to challenge this level above, which is what I was just saying, I think it's going to try and break out. And this is looking like a really serious upthrust on high volume, and we'll see by the depth of the pullback in response as to whether there really is weakness or not in this market. I'm expecting the market to attempt to consolidate and make a secondary challenge to that line. We'll see. The Bitcoin market, however, is becoming well known for exaggerated price movements. So a deeper pullback, even down to the level below for a test of strength, would not surprise. That's right, it does have some exaggerated price movements at times. It seriously would be an exaggerated movement if it did that before it did that. But at the moment, the expectation for me is for price to pull back modestly and gather itself up, absorb any supply, and then make a second attempt to break out. We'll see just what happens over the next week or so. Okay, that's the last one. Hopefully that was interesting for you, and we covered some more principles and some more examples. It doesn't really matter if you're not following these individual markets. By going through them and reviewing them, I can spend a little bit of time explaining some principles, and hopefully you benefit from that. Thanks for your time again. Let me know if you've got any questions in the comments. See ya.